What's up reefers, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do an update on my SPS dominant Red Sea Reefer 250. I think the last update we did on this tank was in about mid-July, and that was the 2-year tank update on this system. If you missed that video, I'll link that in the top right. But before we get into today's video, if you haven't already, please do like, please do subscribe and hit that bell notification so you're not missing out on any of my new content. Anyone that's been following the channel for a while knows that I recently switched over to Triton Core 7 from Aquaforest. And to be honest, the tank has responded really well to the switch. A lot better than I thought. I thought I might run into some troubles with regards to getting the dosing correct, but I used the Triton Core 7 calculator based on my consumption at the time, which was 1 DKH per day, which gave me the correct amount to dose of each of the supplements, each of the parts. Since then, we've had a massive spike in alkalinity consumption, or well, consumption in general. When I first switched over from Aquaforest, my daily consumption of alkalinity was 1 DKH per day, and we are currently up to 1.5 DKH per day. So I've had a 50% increase in consumption. And to be honest, you can see it visually within the corals. I'm getting a lot of growth tips and a lot more growth than I was in my acros than I was when I was dosing Aquaforest. I'm not sure the exact reasonings behind it, but to be honest, I put it down to, I would say, an ionic balance that's more suited to my tank. So I feel like the elements and the blend of elements that they use in the Triton Core 7 is more suited to my system than, say, the Aquaforest. I did notice when I was dosing Aquaforest before, my magnesium, I mean, my tank barely uses any magnesium, and if I dose magnesium, it just goes up and up and up and up. And at one point, I think my magnesium was sitting at around 1650 parts per million, which is way over what I wanted it to be. But to be honest, because the trace elements were blended within the third part, I couldn't really stop dosing magnesium. Since I switched over to Triton Core 7, my magnesium has slowly come down to a more acceptable level, let's say. So I would say the blend of elements is a lot more suited to my tank, and I think that's the reason behind the massive growth spurt that these corals are having. The only downside to that is one of the reasons that I switched over from Aquaforest to Triton was I was getting tired of filling up my containers every 10 days, I think it was. I've got 800ml Voss bottles that was meant to last 4 weeks, and since we've switched over to Triton and alkalinity has increased, obviously a 50% increase in uptake, I'm now filling the containers every 3 weeks. Not the end of the world, but that's one of the reasons that I switched. I'm kind of regretting mixing the Triton up by 50%. I diluted the solutions 50%, and to be honest, if I'd have known my alkalinity consumption was going to go up so high, I probably would have left it at the standard strength. But it's never mind, it's not the end of the world. I'm filling them up every 3 weeks, which is absolutely fine. Prior to this, I was filling them up every 10 days, so it's still twice as long as it was before. The other issue I'm having, I wouldn't really say it's an issue, but I am running into a lot of coral warfare. I have fixed a few of the issues that I was having. If you look in this area here, you can see the forest fire digi. I've actually broken off. I've moved it more forward and more towards the left. It was getting really close to this Anacropora, and to be honest, I actually need to do something with this Anacropora because it's getting a bit out of control. The right-hand side is really sort of taking over. The left-hand side isn't that bad now I've moved the forest fire digi, but I am going to have to start fragging that, I reckon. You may also notice underneath the forest fire there's a massive white area, and that is because probably about 8 or 9 months ago I put a stag there. It might have even been about a year ago. I put a green stag there, and I actually lost the green stag. That started to strip, and I removed it from the tank. All of the I snapped all the branches off, and I just left the white base. Over time, it obviously encrusted with coralline, but there was a tiny little bit that actually stayed alive. And over the past 3 or 4 months, I'd say, it slowly started to take over the rock again, started to grow over the rock, and started to branch out again. So what I decided to do is get some coral putty and actually just fill over the whole of the rock where that stag used to be, and just cover the whole lot. It was becoming just an absolute pain in the ass to keep breaking off the branches that kept extending out. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to get rid of this once and for all, and I'm just going to cover it with coral putty. It obviously doesn't look that great at the minute because it's bright white, but over time it will just fill over with coralline algae. So yeah, that's why I've done that. I am actually having a few issues over this side of the tank as well. I haven't sorted any of these issues out, but I plan to. Some of it I can't really do anything with. I mean, if you look here, we've got the Millie, the Bubblegum Digi, and also the Red Planet. They're all sort of growing into each other. I can't really do much about that because they're all based out on the rock. But this PC Rainbow here, I do plan on moving that, extending it out a little bit, and giving that a little bit more room to breathe, because I think this Millipora is going to keep basing over the rocks, and it will eventually start interfering with this PC Rainbow. So I am going to do something about that. This Monty is absolutely driving me crazy, to be honest. It is taking over. I really need to do something with this. You can see down here that it is it's actually killed off this Setosa, almost killed off this Setosa, and in general it is just taking over. Some of these corals I bought a lot of these corals when I didn't really know SPS that well. I weren't sure which ones were fast growers, which ones were slow growers, and I just wanted a good balance of colours. This green Monty is just an absolute beast, and it grows like nothing else in the tank. So I am going to have to do something about this. A lot of it I could just break off because it does plate, but some of it is encrusted onto the rock. So I'm not sure. I'm probably going to do what I did with the stag and just cover it over with putty, but I'm not 100% sure. I did actually have to move this torch down here as well. You can see in this little area here, some of these zoas are really sulking. That is because the way the flow went, it was actually blowing all of the tentacles into the zoas, and it was just constantly stinging the crap out of all these zoas. So I moved that over here, and that is, I mean, to be honest, I feel like the flow is a lot better for it as well, because the flow isn't so high down there. There is one area of the tank that I'm really not that happy with, and that is this area here. The Sunset Mellipora is bouncing back, that's good, but I feel like this area is just a little bit sparse, a little bit bland. The rest of it I'm pretty happy with, just needs some minor adjustments with regards to coral warfare, but this area I'm really not very happy with. So we'll see. So yeah, overall I'm really happy with the tank, really happy with the direction it's going. I'm really happy with the balance of colours, and I'm really happy with the coral growth. This is probably the happiest I've been with this tank for, I'd say, a good 6 months. For those of you who've been following the channel for a long time, you'll know that this area here was actually dominated by torches at one point. And I made a snap decision to get rid of the torches, sell all the torches and go SPS dominant. And at that point I was really, really down about the tank, and as soon as I removed them, that was like the worst decision I'd made in my reefing history, honestly. I almost felt like shutting the tank down at that point, because I was just I literally couldn't walk past it and look at the tank without thinking, what the hell have I done? But yeah, overall I am actually really happy with this tank and the way it's going and the direction it's going. So yeah, that's pretty much the update. I just wanted to give you an idea of what's going on, how the tank's going, how the tank's reacting, and what sort of growth we're getting within this system. But yeah, if there's anything that you want to know specifically, drop it down in the comments below. If I don't answer it via a comment, it may even give me some inspiration for a new video and a new upload for the channel. So yeah, if you've got any questions, drop them down below. I'll always try my best to answer them. And I think that, to be honest, will wrap this video up. So if you've enjoyed the video, please do drop it a like. Please do subscribe to the channel, and have a cracking week, guys.